Now, as you know, for property development, we have three legs. No, we have residential, commercial, and leisure. And under residential, we have SMDC, which recently reported their earnings. In terms of income contribution from real estate, the residential business is still the main contributor with 85%, and this is mainly SMDC. For commercial properties, they contributed 15%. So SM Land, as a separate company or the holding company of SM Investments for our property business, they reported the net income, consolidated net income of 2.2 billion pesos, and this is up 30%. Their revenues was 8.5 billion and increased by 39%, with a net margin of 26%. For SMDC, which is our stellar performer at this time, their net income from real estate increased by 70%. It's quite a feat now. It's now about 1.9 billion pesos. Consolidated net income increased by 1.9, and revenues increased by 67% to 6.86 billion pesos. Net margin of 28% and a market cap now of 69%, which grew by 75% during the period. If you can recall, they raised funds last year and did 2 rights issues. In the first quarter of last year, they raised something like 5 billion pesos at a price of about 350. And in the fourth quarter, they raised another 10 billion or 11 billion pesos and priced it at about 638 or something like that. So you can just imagine the tremendous investor support on the share price of SMDC, and this is the reason why the market cap has grown quite a lot. So the interesting thing about SMDC is that the earnings is actually really supported by strong sales because of innovative marketing initiatives, and basically a very different approach to the market, which actually caught a lot of their competitors, by surprise. Their balance sheet is very strong. It's really hedged against a cyclical market. That's why the net debt to equity is only 2%. They can easily raise funds whenever they want at this point. So they're coming from a very strong position. They raised about 20 billion last year, and a substantial amount of those proceeds actually went into land banking. So their estimated ROE for this year is about 15%, and book value increased by 29% to 3.9. Now, talking about land bank, they have about 113 hectares in different areas in Metro Manila, and they sold about 10.7 billion pesos worth of units in the first half, and they still have about 10,200 units available for sale. Now, in terms of the commercial property business, this business is the property investment arm of SM Land. And what they do is they build office buildings and then rent it out. So most of their revenues really come from rental revenues, and that increased by 18% in the first half to 1.1 billion pesos. And net income increased by 14% to 338 million. They're very busy at this point. As you know, and you can already see they're putting up they're constructing this very iconic building in Mall of Asia complex called 2 Ecom Center. It's right beside our office, and our office is right beside Mall of Asia. So what's going on is that you see the landscape of Mall of Asia complex changing constantly because there's so many things going on in that area. 2 Ecom Center is targeted to open in November 2011 with tenants like BPOs, shipping companies, because it's quite an ideal location for them. Their GLA is 102,000 square meters. They have 2 towers that are connected on top by a bridge, and each Tower A will have 14 floors and Tower B 15 floors with indoor parking and commercial and retail areas. And this was designed by Arquitectonica. Now, the other interesting thing about Mall of Asia complex is that it's going to be a haven for BPO operators because soon enough after they've opened 2 ecom, they will start constructing 3 ecom. And there's another template, there's another area for 4 ecom, no? But right now the design we're showing you is for 3 ecom. So as you can see, these are quite iconic in design, no? We're making a difference in the market but by making our buildings quite attractive, and they will become landmarks in Metro Manila. The other thing that's rising in Mall of Asia complex is the arena. This is the first time we're showing this. It's a state-of-the-art sports complex with a seating capacity of about 16,000, where you can hold concerts, basketball games. So maybe UAAP will be there next time with the Bulldogs, really making a dent in the games. And then the expected completion date is the second quarter of 2012. There will be 7 levels with basement parking, and the gross floor area is 62,000. If you can see right behind it, on the left side, is the car park building of SM Arena. And this car park building will have a GFA of 96,400 square meters with a capacity of about 1,490 vehicles. And it will also have space for retail and office. Now, hotels and conventions is also very busy. There's so much going on in this group. Sometimes it's hard to keep up. As you know, we opened Radisson last year, and this year they opened Pico Sands. No? I'll give the floor later to Ray because he will show some images of SM hotels and conventions and what they have now. So I won't go into details. This is Pico Sands, which opened in April 2011 with the gross floor area of 10,829 square meters, with certain amenities. But actually, there's an extension because the guests of Pico Sands can also take advantage of the Beach and Country Club of Pico de Loro, and this was designed by PRSP Architects. Okay. Now we go to the banks. Also very good performance by BDO. Their net income grew by 20% and gross customer loans by 24%. Net interest income increased by 2% with 17.1 billion and an ROE of 11.6%. Their NPLs are down further to 4%, and they have a capital adequacy ratio now of about 14.8%. If you recall, they also did some fundraising the first half of this year. That's right. For China Bank, also a good performance with net income increasing by 11% to 2.4 billion, with net interest income growing by 4% to 4.4. Gross customer loans also increased by 20%. So these two banks are very busy in the market. ROE of 15% and net interest margin of 4%. NPLs also down to 3.4%, and capital adequacy ratio is even higher at 16.2%. Too much capital for China Bank. Anyway, this is their capex for this year, and later on we'll request each of the business heads to tell you what they're going to do with this money. So we have retail with 3.3 billion, malls 12 billion, banks 2.2, and property 14 billion. Hotels and conventions 1.2, for a total of 32.7 billion in capex for SM investments in the second half of this year. So let me now call Ray to show certain images of their assets now for SM Hotels.
We're the youngest in the group, SM family. So only about like 3 years old right now, SM Hotels and Conventions Corporation. Let me start out by saying that Mr. Henry C. had a vision of making the Philippines a major tourist attraction for the region and in the world in the future. And he wanted an array of tourism-related products and services with world-class standards. In keeping with this vision, SM Hotels and Resorts, SM Hotels, too early for being a resort, SM Hotels and Conventions have now 4 properties in the Philippines. That's SMX, Tal Vista Hotel, Pico Sands, Pico del Oro, and Radisson Blu in Cebu. At the heart of Mall of Asia complex is SMX Convention Center. It offers the largest state-of-the-art in meetings and facilities, meetings and conventions facilities and exhibits, and has a total gross floor area of 46,647 square meters. This is part of the 46,647. As you can see, we also can host a huge exhibit area in one of the meeting rooms. This alone can seat about 7,200 for theater style. In Tagaytay, the best vantage point to enjoy a breathtaking view of Taal volcano is from the Taal Vista Hotel. The hotel has 261 rooms, 16 meeting rooms, and 2 ballrooms, a coffee shop, a business center, a gym, and a spa. Down south, further down south, we have, and it's about an hour away only from Tagaytay, is Hamilo Coast. There are 13 coves in Hamilo Coast with 31 kilometers of coastline. 13 coves and 31 kilometers of coastline. And one of the coves is Pico del Oro. It takes about 2.5 hours, 2.5 hours from Makati to Nasugbu, to Hamilo Coast. And soon, that blue line there will take only 1.5 hours by boat from the Mall of Asia Pier. That's the Nudibranch boat that was just recently commissioned. We're looking at having it applying the route maybe in the next few months, taking guests and members. And this is Pico Sands Hotel, as Cola has mentioned earlier. It has 154 rooms. We have suites as well, penthouse suites at the top, 7 floors. We have a coffee shop, a lounge, and a spa. We call it Rain Spa. Some of the things to be enjoyed at Pico del Oro is that's the beach club. It's got a swimming pool, and then the country club has another set of swimming pools. A lot of a variety of water sports and basketball and bowling and other activities can be done in the resort. Now, further down south in the Queen City of Cebu is Radisson Blu, standing majestically facing the Mactan Channel right there, right beside the SM Mall. It has 400 rooms. It was opened last year, formally opened in November 2010. Has 2 ballrooms, huge ballrooms. One is 1,500, the other is 600, and there are another 10 meeting rooms. It has, that's the lobby of the hotel, majestic, about 10 meters high, probably the highest and the most beautiful in Cebu right now. And those are shots of the meeting rooms. We have one coffee shop. That's a shot of the room. We have about 38 square meters standard, all rooms, and then we have business class rooms as well, which you can call suites. That's the feria. We can see 250 people at a given time. I see some smiles here. Maybe some people are hungry. And in terms of performance, the group did about 74% for the first 6 months of the year compared to last year, the same period. That's total revenue. As far as gross operating profit is concerned, we are at about 25% compared to last year. As I said earlier, we're the youngest in the group, but we're still growing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray, for the beautiful images. Just some trivia about hotels, no? If you recall, Taal Vista is a heritage hotel. So never say Taal Vista Lodge, okay? Because you will be revealing your age. It's like saying Shoe Mart. Nobody knows Shoe Mart anymore. People say SM, okay? And Taal Vista Lodge is no longer Taal Vista Lodge. Is now Taal Vista Hotel, okay? So anyway, um, thank you, Ray, for that presentation.